Peace be upon you, dear students. Grade 8 الصف الثامن lesson 7 الدرس السابع reading comprehension. Here we are going to read an article, Unit 7, preserving our planet or protecting our planet. So reading comprehension. Read the selection below. As usual, we'll read a selection about the problem of global warming. So here we are reading a selection about the problem of global warming. In this article, you will learn about global warming, its effects and its causes. And then answer the questions that follow, and these questions will be as a homework for you. Now, let's read the title, Save Our Mother Earth. Save Our Mother Earth. And here, as you can see from the very beginning and from the title, the writer of this article is concerned. He is worried. He is very sad. Why? Because he wants us to find a solution to this problem, which is one of the worst problems, and it is relating to environmental issues, as you can see. So let's read in order to know about global warming, the main causes of global warming and the main effects, and if the writer would suggest or give us some solutions. So let's read the first paragraph. Environmental issues caused by the harmful effects of human activities on the biophysical environment are becoming increasingly more complicated worldwide, urging us to do something to protect the world we live in. So here, the writer refers to the problem of environment, the problem with environment, with our environment, and here he is starting with environmental issues. So he is trying to tell us there is not only one problem relating to environment. We can talk about several problems. And here, all of these environmental issues are caused by the harmful actions of human beings, or they are a result or effects of human activities. So the responsible for these environmental issues, environmental problems, will be always man or the human activities. And here he is telling us that these environmental issues are becoming more complicated, more dangerous. So we need to do something. We need to do some procedures in order to protect or preserve, as you can see, preserve or protect our world that we live in. Yet, so after the writer told us about some, or he told us that there are some environmental issues, environmental problem in this world, now he wants to talk about a specific environmental problem, which is the worst, Now what is it? Let's read here. Yet, although there are several environmental issues, so although there are environmental issues, today we'll focus on the most important one or the worst one, which is global warming. So here the writer is stating his thesis statement. So he's telling us that this article will be about global warming. So first of all, here you are reading a scientific essay, and after this lesson I'll tell you about the type of writing. When we write about this lesson, we need to use expository writing. So here we are reading a scientific text, a scientific article in which we tell the reader about global warming, very important environmental issue, and we give the causes and tell the reader about the effects and try to find solution for this problem. So first of all, what's global warming? Global warming refers to the gradual increase, So this process is happening gradually. So this is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. So it is a gradual increase in the overall temperature. So the temperature of the Earth is rising. The temperature of the Earth is rising. And this is called the global warming or al-ihtibas al-harari in Arabic. So what does that mean? First of all, global warming is the overall or the increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Because of, don't forget, because of, attributed to or because of or due to the greenhouse gases, So the main reason for global warming is greenhouse gases or greenhouse effect, as you can see here. And all of these are caused by human activities. So human activities are the real cause of greenhouse gases, and these greenhouse gases lead to global warming. So here in the article, you will learn about some kinds or types of greenhouse gases, their effects, their causes. So the first one, we can talk about carbon. The first example about greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide. Then the first example, pay attention, it is in red for you and it is shaded now for you. So the first example about greenhouse gases, and it's the worst one, the most dangerous one, is carbon dioxide and other pollutants. So we are not talking about only carbon dioxide in this article. The writer will tell us about some other pollutants such as methane or other kinds. But here the focus is on carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Now here the writer is trying to tell us that this is the 21st century challenge. So we have a challenge in the 21st century, and it is global warming, and this challenge might lead, here the writer is warning us that about the bad results of global warming, that it may lead to the ultimate end of existence or the life on the earth. So we should realize, not we should, we must realize, it's an obligation, it's a strong obligation, we can't, we should, it's an order. We all must realize the harsh reality of this problem, and we should take actions, take procedures in order to stop it before it's too late and before the end of our existence or our life on the earth. So after we had a look about the meaning of global warming, let's now talk about some of the causes. So as you know, dear students, people have been using, and here I am talking, I am not reading from the text, pay attention. People have been using fossil fuel for 200 years ago. 200 years, people have been using fossil fuel, for example, gas, oil, okay, and coal. And in this case, they are burning these fuels. They are burning this fuel in order to make benefit out of them. But don't forget that when we burn this fuel, they produce carbon dioxide. Now, we don't have a problem with carbon dioxide when we are talking about limited quantities. But when we talk about enormous quantities, here is the catastrophe. Here is the dangers. Here is the disaster. So here we are talking about producing enormous quantities of carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide, as we will read later in this article, make a blanket which trap some of the heat. What's the meaning of trap? It means to keep some of the heat in, some of the heat of the sun in. Trap means to keep some of the heat of the sun in. And in this case, that heat can't escape. So that heat can't escape because they are trapped, trapped by carbon dioxide, or this blanket of carbon dioxide that fill our atmosphere. And here, the planet in this case warms up with serious consequences or serious results. So the chief contributor to these gases is carbon dioxide. Again, the main contributor, the main reason, okay, the main cause to these gases is carbon dioxide. Why? Because it forms a thickening blanket around the earth. Again, we are using We are producing, after we burn the coal, the oil, the gas, we produce enormous quantities of carbon dioxide. Now, what happened? These enormous quantities form a thickening blanket around the earth, which trap what? Trap the heat of the sun, and in this case, the heat can't escape, and there the temperature of the earth will rise, and this is the problem. So trapping the heat and raising the temperature. So when this blanket of carbon dioxide trap the heat of the sun, in this case the temperature of the earth will raise. Now let's talk about other gases or other chemicals that cause global warming. So other greenhouse gases, pay attention. So the first cause of global warming, or the most important cause, or the worst cause of global warming, is greenhouse gases. And in this case, we talked about carbon dioxide. Now we are talking about methane, okay? Methane. It's another greenhouse gas. Methane, generated or produced by decaying refuse, or we can say decaying rubbish or decaying waste of man and animals. And another contributor is chlorofluorocarbon or CFC, So as you can see here, we are reading a scientific essay. Now, this is releasing from spraying cans or pesticides. So, and they are all a result of human beings' activities. Now, unfortunately, some of the modern technological applications, such as industrial processes of factories, here we are talking about factories without filters, or about industrial chemical waste that are from the factories. So we can talk about another example, vehicles exhaust fumes. So these fumes releasing from vehicles, from cars, from buses, from planes, etc. And many other chemical malpractices. When we talk about chemicals, are done in a careless way. So in this case, all of this will certainly lead to the concentration. And here we are talking about the blanket or the thickening blanket all around our earth or in the atmosphere of greenhouse gases. So right now the writer gave us several examples about greenhouse gases. He told us about carbon dioxide, he told us methane and chlorofluorocarbon. Now what about the results? Now we as readers ask ourselves, now what does the writer want to tell us? What does he want to say? So you told us about the reasons of global warming. Now what about the effects? In the third paragraph, he is trying to give us some of the bad effects of global warming, namely rising temperature. And in this case, we are talking about a chain of events. When one cause leads to an effect, and this effect in turn leads to another cause, and etc., or so on. So scientists point out that the Earth's rising temperature has already started to show drastic byproducts. For instance, the melting of the ice. Now, after we talked about the rising of temperature, as you can see here, so we talked about the rising temperature because of global warming. Here we are talking about the effects or the bad results. The ice in the poles will melt. So here we are talking about melting of the ice cap at the poles. Now the northern pole and the southern pole. Now this will cause in turn rise in sea level. So when the ice in the cap is melting, in this case there will be a rise. So this is a cause for this effect, rise in the sea levels. Now what does that lead to? That leads to coastal flooding. So the villages or the coastal villages or towns or cities will be flooded. They also believe that hurricanes, and here we are talking about the forces of nature like hurricanes, for example, hurricanes are likely to become stronger and droughts more common. So, yet the most serious danger, the most serious superlative adjective to tell us about that this is one of the worst problem, disruption of habitats or destruction of habitats of some species of animals such as polar bears, for example. So they won't find a habitat to live in, and this is one of the catastrophic results of global warming. Now the fourth paragraph, the writer is trying to give us a solution. The writer is trying to give us not a solution, or he is trying to suggest some ideas in order to do something serious about this ascending problem. So here he is telling us that it's time to reconsider our attitudes towards the environment. We must find solutions to this problem. And here you can use these phrases or these sentences when you want to give solutions, when you write expository essays, as I'll tell you in the next lesson. So pay attention to these sentences. What we need is a big step in the right direction. A big step in the right direction. So change only happens when individuals or people or human beings take actions or take procedures. So there is no other way if it doesn't start with people. So he is telling us we must do something before it is too late and before the destruction of the whole earth. Now we have a question, reading comprehension, and they are homework for you. The first one, read the following sentences and then find in the indicated paragraphs. I'll read these questions for you in the next lesson because I have finished this lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll tell you the homework and read the question with you in the next lesson. Don't hesitate to contact me between 6 and 8 p.m. and I'll be ready to answer your questions. Thank you very much for watching us.